Okay, so the planes have been aligned,
Oh, Lord.
and we are ready. We are ready to start the podcast.
Lord, give me strength.
How are you?
Laptopy.
Laptop? Yes. So today's episode is going to be on Vedran ranting about how laptops don't have all the different externals that they used to have. They don't have the connectors. Basically, they suck, and people are not getting what they're paying for. So after the intro, we are going to see and hear what do we like about the laptops, what we don't like about the laptops, how to choose one, and when you're choosing one, what to look out for. So please roll the intro.
Okay, I have a small correction to make.
What? The
If
planes weren't aligned.
no, the planes were aligned all the time. That's never a problem, at least for me. I'm not going to rant about anything, and I'm not going to talk about how laptops suck. I'm not going to talk about anything like that. That's just your standard
Uh, uh,
bad technical marketing, which you know and love.
okay, I'm just going to leave this in the air, and then we'll see what is going to happen in the next 1 hour.
Basically, the last episode kind of put us in the mood, and we had a discussion about that to create like a triumvirate of episodes about, as the previous episode kind of hinted about how to choose between the laptop versus a desktop person, in a sense, or are you one or the other? And then we wanted to go into the topic of how to, let's say, use laptop for something or other, whatever. And that was the previous episode. And this one is supposed to be about our laptop experiences and perhaps how to choose one that you might find to be useful. Because oftentimes when you're buying laptop, you are going to be in the same trouble as a lot of other people. And that trouble is how to actually select the correct one for your specific usage model. And for that purpose, I asked Yasmin to prepare something which I'm sure he hasn't done, which is always awesome, which is I wanted to talk about our laptop histories and kind of derive something from that. So there is a method to my madness today, and I fully expect and encourage you, by the way, to dunk on me somewhere after I'm done with the intro part, when I'm done with the discussion about the laptops that I used over whatever past 20 years or so, because you will feel the need to do that, and I encourage you to do it. Okay,
Okay.
that's never going to be a problem, right?
No, but this wasn't even an option. So there was an option of me not just pointing out what you did wrong, but I did prepare for my part because my
The planes are
preparation
not
was pretty
aligned
simple.
anymore. It's done.
No. The problem is that my laptop past is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
I basically bought a ThinkPad, then bought another ThinkPad, then got an HP. I think it was pre-EliteBook days, so it was one of the i7s from the pre-EliteBooks days, and then I stuck with the ThinkPads. So it's just the different models of ThinkPad. First, I started with the R models, then I switched over to the T models, and then right now I'm using whatever is available as a second-hand laptop. And I have a MacBook Air that is the last laptop that I got. So maybe it's 8 or 9 laptops in total for the last 25 oddish years. And I didn't stray much from the ThinkPad lineup. So we can talk about ThinkPads all the day, but I'm just going to say that I like the HP, but the ThinkPads are much better.
Oh, really? Okay. Please give me a short course in why.
A keyboard.
That's the only
Simple.
reason.
Yes, okay, the only reason. more or less what I want from the laptop is a keyboard that is a decent one. I want to have my keyboard to, I want to have the ability to actually type fast. I want decent keys that are not just short travel keys that are intended first and foremost to be small, and then they're intended for typing. So I want my keyboard to work. And the other thing was that ThinkPads, when I was buying them way back then, were designed with one idea in mind, and this is that the laptop should be working as a laptop, whatever you do to it. So ThinkPads were the first one. If you remember the design criteria for the ThinkPad, when they said that you should be able to pick up one for whatever part you're lifting it up, and it shouldn't bend and it shouldn't break. So you can just get a ThinkPad and lift it by the lid, and you're not going to break the screen. And this is not the case with all the laptops that are right now on the market. So I just like that, like the ThinkPads. I was just, you could say that I was faithful to the brand, but other than I think it was 15 or oddish years ago, when the ThinkPad was actually sold by IBM to Lenovo, or more precisely spun off to Lenovo. They had a couple of years when they had some troubles with the quality, and they couldn't find themselves when they tried some redesigns and so on. But eventually they just understood that the problem is not the ThinkPads, the problem is them. So they just went around, redesigned the laptop to be as close as the old ThinkPads as they could be, and that's it. I'm just I'm simple. I'm looking for a decent working machine because my killer app is usually a web browser and Word.
Okay.
I don't game.
Okay. Actually, if I was to go a little bit further back in the past, I remember my dad had a 286 Toshiba many moons ago. This was actually the first laptop that I worked on. But I also had a chance to work in terms of the laptops that I could use. He also had a ThinkPad T model. You remember those in early 2000s?
Yes.
They were indestructible and super expensive. Yeah.
Yes.
And but personally, I have three ThinkPads secondhand as well, but they are a side story to my story, at least from my perspective of laptop usage, generally speaking, because they are just tools for one specific job, which is Red Hat exams. So I only use them for that, and that's that. And I have free because at times I have to provide free exams in one day, and it's simpler to have free laptops than to redeploy for every exam and lose time, and of course the exam attendees time. So that's non-topic for me. I generally agree with you. ThinkPads are really good. So no argue from me. The second-hand ones, which we tend to buy, because of the fact that they are, let's say, 8 or so years old. I actually have one that's even older than that. They usually fall within the same criteria that I use for all of the laptops in terms of the amount of expandability that they should have, and they're really good for that as well. Their ThinkPads are among the best for that.
And I must add two things to this. First, not only that they're expandable, but they are the amount of spare parts and the parts in general for the ThinkPads available on the second-hand market, eBay or whatever, is huge.
Just like HP servers.
Yes, so if you want to upgrade your laptop, so for example, you get I don't know, T420, and you want to upgrade it, you are able to buy cheap screens, you are able to buy cheap keyboards, you are able to buy caddies, you are able to buy basically everything that can be upgraded in the laptop. So a lot of people are buying them simply for the spare parts. And the price for some of the laptops is jokingly low, because sometimes a laptop with a power supply costs less than the power supply itself.
Yeah.
So these are just no-brainers when it comes to old laptops. And if you are looking for a laptop, and this is the first hint, If you are looking for the laptop just to browse the internet, you are going to have to just pay attention not to use the Chrome. If you are looking for a laptop to browse the internet and for some light work, you can get away with spending $150 or so and have a laptop that is going to be more than decent for the job.
I have a side question, but go on if you have anything to
Yes,
add.
yes. And the other thing is that my laptop history is directly connected to what I said in the last episode. I'm not the laptop guy. When I was working in the magazine, I had two machines in the office, two machines at home, so two desktops, and I spent I would say negligible amount of time walking around without a laptop or without a machine available to me. And if I needed to do something, there was always the test machines that we had in the lab, so I could borrow one and do something if I wanted to do it. And this is what I did. So I got my fair share of trying out Toshiba's, Tandy's, if you remember those.
Yes, I do.
HP's, Asus, Acers, and so on and so on and so on.
Okay.
So basically every laptop under the sun, but I didn't, for example, Toshiba Satellite. It's an amazing laptop with a crappy keyboard.
Okay.
And I didn't like it. I tried it. I had experience with it. I was using it for a couple of weeks. And then I decided that this wasn't my laptop. It was a test laptop. And I decided that I just don't like the keyboards.
Okay. We are going to have some disagreements there, but a little bit later. But I do have a side question. And please don't treat this side question as me teasing you, because that's not what it's intended to be, at least yet. You need a decent keyboard, which has a little bit of travel and has a little bit of response or resistiveness, and then you go out and get to the company to buy a MacBook Air. What's the reasoning for that?
The reasoning for MacBook Air was something completely different.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that I'm not writing as much as I used to do. And I wanted a laptop that is going to be small, light, and that is going to boot immediately. So I wanted a laptop to be available when I need it, because I just wanted to be able to read a quick email, respond to a quick email, and MacBook Air's keyboard is not as good as ThinkPads, but at the same time it's way better than typing on the screen of a small phone. So I just want some kind of a keyboard.
But was the battery life a part of the discussion as well?
Yes. Because I wanted to have a device that I don't need to think about. I don't need to think about the battery life. I don't need to think about the how I'm going to go out to sleep, and so on. And I can just plug it in once a week. I can use it throughout the week, and then I can just open it when I need it, work for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, close it, put it in my backpack, and that's it.
Okay.
So the completely different usage scenario.
Okay.
Because right now, when I'm using a laptop, I'm usually using it to either answer an email or just check on something through SSH or whatever. So I'm not, my main driver is not writing. Back way then, my main driver was actually sitting and writing documents.
Just like me.
And so I had to spend 7, 8, 9 hours while writing. So I rarely did it on the laptop. But when I did, I wanted to have a decent keyboard. MacBook Air wouldn't be it.
Yeah, this is where our usage cases actually started to differ. I mean, back then when we did this previous job, we were, let's say, in contact more business than, let's say, socially. That was those years after.
Yes.
And everything. But my usage case then started to revolve around laptops because of some reasons. One of them was because the way in which the magazine production works, which you know to great detail, just like me. And we had a graphical part of the company. They used to have to do a lot of graphical editing and whatnot.
Yes.
We used to use Quark Express, whatnot, and it was a big trouble for me because the only time when I had as an editor to do my editing job was after hours, And as a result of that, luckily enough, my dad was always very responsive to these sorts of situations, and I was lucky enough that he always could spare some money and call somebody and get some stuff. He bought me a white MacBook that I'm going to mention a little bit later, and we set it up for Quark and everything. And then my part of the company, which was lab related, so it was only computer hardware related, we had our own machine that we could use at any time, and that sped up our process for all of the stuff that we needed to do in production by a lot. This is where my initial, let's say, business usage of the laptops started. Okay.
Yes, because what I did in the magazine, I actively avoided having to do the DTV part, so I wasn't doing the editing when it comes to graphics and so on. I had people that did it, and I needed large screens to be able to see what they did. So I was mainly just being a viewer, and we were using the InDesign mostly, and the InDesign, we were first using a Quark, and then we switched over to InDesign, and we were using InDesign just basically. It was a companion program to InDesign that was called
But you were
something.
using it remotely as well. I know you were talking about this.
Yes, because we had an amazing application that was created here in Croatia that enabled me to design and work on my magazine completely remotely through the web interface. I had to have InDesign viewer, however the name was it, installed, but I could edit the magazine, see all the texts, get the texts put into the DTP and designed and put on the pages, and then I could just check on the pages, do corrections, do everything else remotely. So what I needed was a laptop that was quick to display a lot of pages.
Yeah. So this is where our use cases little by little started to differ. But even back then, because I was doing a lot of press conferences, I did a lot of traveling and whatnot. For that purpose, also different laptop, of course. The white iBook wasn't really the ultimate laptop for that. This is where I started using some laptops, and as a present, I also got my first really big desktop replacement laptop at that time. But this is a topic that I will cover as I go through the history of the notebooks that I have. And also one other thing, because of the fact that the next episode is going to be similar to this one, but the topic is going to be on the desktops.
Yes.
I think that whatever I say today, and that's the reason why you're probably going to feel the need to dunk on me a little bit, which is perfectly reasonable, and I understand why, and I'm still going to be as crazy as always about the use case that I do. When you hear the history that I had with desktops, I think you're going to want to give me a slap in the face.
No.
You're going to see what I'm talking about when we record that episode, because I was way crazier on desktops that you could possibly imagine. But that's a topic for another day. So, do you want to add something before I start, or do you want me to start?
Just go and start, but try to be concise, because we are 20 minutes in, and we need to do some general recommendations, not the making of a veteran laptop life story.
I am going to be as short as possible, and it's 18 minutes in, and I'm actually counting, so it's okay.
Okay.
Basically, I'm starting with my first laptop that was actually mine, which was Dell Latitude C800. This was 2001 or something. I actually got that laptop as an exchange, because one of the customers of the music shop that I used to work for offered an exchange for my synthesizer for that, and the laptop was way more expensive than the keyboard, because I got it as half as present, half as a different type of present and whatnot. I paid almost nothing for it. It had mobile Pentium 3, and this was the computer that I mentioned in the Windows Server episode when we were discussing using Windows servers. This is the laptop that I used to run Windows 2000 Server Advanced on for
Okay.
years. It had DVD-ROM, had some kind of an ATI card, but the kicker of that laptop, actually, the reason why I had it, I actually got the what could be construed as the docking station with it as well. But docking stations are a different topic. I'm not going to cover that today at all. The kicker is that it had S-Video, VGA, PS2, parallel, serial, line out, line in, microphone, video in, video out, the IRDA port for infrared communication, floppy and optical drive, and it had USB. If you count all that, that's something like 15 ports, which was crazy, and that laptop was overheating like nothing you've ever seen, but it was still working properly. And I used that laptop all the way until I started. So after I finished college, I started working for the computer magazine, and that's when I, as a present from my dad, I got the first Toshiba.
Okay.
The Toshiba that I got was the Satellite P20 S203, which was a super big, extra heavy desktop replacement in red and silver colors. And this is something like Pentium 3.0 or something like that with a gigabyte of memory, 80 gigabyte hard disk, whatnot. It had Windows XP Media Center Edition. I don't know if you ever used
Yes,
that
I remember.
one.
Did it also have a remote control for the?
Yes.
Was that one?
Yes.
That had the remote control for the laptop.
Yeah, and
so that
for
you
the
can
TV
actually,
tuner.
Yes, you could actually put the laptop on the table and just remotely control it through infrared control.
Correct.
I remember one of those because I have one of those upstairs. I had a colleague of mine who was he was an architect, and he managed to completely break his one, and he gave it to me, and I resurrected part of it because the screen is still broken, but I remember that it had infrared remote control, and the control was
Like
even
TV
inserted
size. It was
some.
super big. It was
Yes,
like,
and it was.
yeah.
No, the laptop itself is.
No,
It
no, no.
was.
The remote control was like a TV remote control with gazillion buttons.
Yes, but the reason was because they had plenty of space inside and outside of the laptop, because the laptop itself was the size of a small dining table.
Yeah, it was. So it had, and I'm following along with the team. So it had, as you can see on my shared screen, it had multimedia buttons at the front of the laptop for playback, play, stop, fast forward, whatnot. And the port or the part of the device that's below those keys is actually the IRDA port as well. It had the DVD-ROM. The left part was the replaceable module that I think it could host a battery or a floppy or a TV tuner. I had all of the above as spares. I still have that TV tuner somewhere in one of the tables because I actually sold this laptop way later to somebody who really, really wanted to have it. I think it's still working to this day. It's 20 years old, but that person didn't want the TV tuner for a variety of reasons. But again, let's go into the significant details when you go to the left-hand side. So this is a laptop that already had wireless. This was a desktop Pentium 3.0, by the way, of those super important NetBurst generations that was really hot. So it had the on-off key for the wireless. It had three audio ports, line-in microphone, and the output also had the volume control, physical one, which nowadays no laptop has. On the back, it was network card, parallel port, two USBs, VGA port, and on the right-hand side, even more. So S-Video 2 PC card ports. It had an analog modem, two USBs, and FireWire. So it had absolutely everything you could possibly think of. And I loved this laptop for the fact that it had all of those ports, and for one other reason, which is more than obvious. This was capable of, and it had the SD port as well. This was capable of playing anything, DVD, whatnot. Didn't really care, and it had the speakers that it had were loud as hell. You could have thrown in a party with that laptop with no external amplification.
But let me stop you just for a little bit there and just make a point there.
Okay.
This was the time when people who were designing laptops decided that the laptops are going to be all-around devices.
Correct.
So they always created, all the companies had, except IBM, all the companies try to create an do everything laptop.
Desktop
that had
replacement, as we called it.
But not the desktop replacement, the normal desktop replacement, the gaming desktop replacement with everything, all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
So they, because the expandability wasn't there, they had to include everything in the original package. So they had a single model that usually had tuners, that had speakers, that had JBL. I think that this one had JBL speakers, if I remember correctly.
It was the best speakers ever on a laptop, at least as far as I know. In my life, I actually got the successor to this laptop years later, Cosmio. You remember those as well? Those were also
Yes.
big desktop replacements. But I'm going to mention this a little bit later. Yeah, it was a party machine. I loved that laptop, although it was heavy as hell, and the brick for it was even heavier.
Yes, I think that it was back by then when the some of the laptops had a battery that we jokingly called the UPS.
Yes.
Because it wasn't there to power the laptop while you were working. It was there to power the laptop while you were searching for the next outlet to connect it to.
Yeah. This battery lasted for 20 minutes tops if you were running the laptop on it, and if you were doing anything resource intensive, like watching a DVD or something, 20 minutes, you are lucky.
And the other thing is that people weren't bothered with the idea of a laptop be as heavy as 3.7 or 4 kilos,
Exactly.
and then having a brick that was also 1.5 or 2 kilos.
Exactly correct.
So I'm not going to go and translate this into pounds, but I am. Let me just translate 6 kilos to pounds.
That's like 15 pounds or so, I think.
Yes, 13.
Yeah.
So basically 13 pounds for a laptop
And
with
then
all the
extra
accessories.
6 or 7 for the brick.
No, but I'll call it 6 kilograms for everything
okay.
together, and then including the case, because you had a case, not a normal backpack, because the laptop itself was too big. So you had to have a special briefcase for it. So we are talking about 7 or 8 kilos in total.
Yeah.
Just for the laptop and the mouse and everything else. Also, what I liked about the laptops from that era was not only that they could do everything, the desktop could, they also had decent graphic cards.
Yes.
Because when they decided to put the graphic card in, the graphic cards that are right now energy efficient and so on weren't available.
Yeah.
You couldn't get you could get a normal graphic card that was also available on the desktop for the laptop.
Yeah.
So with discrete card actually meant a card that would be close enough or similar, pretty similar to the one you would get on the desktop.
Yeah.
And the other thing, the laptop designers weren't afraid to experiment.
Correct.
So you could buy a desktop with a trackball. You could buy a desktop that had the trackpad on the left, on the right of the keyboard. You could buy
Trackpad
a decent
and track point and the mouse or whatever, the weird combinations, there are a lot of those.
Yes. Also, the wireless could be turned on and off with the
key.
Physical switch. With the physical switch.
Yeah, just like on this laptop.
So usually it had dedicated switches for turning the volume on and off, and up and down. So it was way back then when people thought that these devices should also be devices, not only a hardware device, but also a device that is able to do the multimedia, do the
Gaming.
gaming, and so on. So the laptops were designed with in a different state of mind.
Yeah, and actually I would call that the way in which laptops should be designed.
Okay.
Okay.
We can talk about that later, but yes.
Okay. Next one is actually right here above me. So it's on this speaker. This is the Dell XPS, I think one of the first versions, M1330. This
Okay.
laptop I got in 2008 or something like that. But so this is the, let's say, original version of the wannabe laptop that later on became the idea of the slim laptop, of the laptop that you are talking nowadays as MacBook Air or whatever. This was one of the first models that had that in mind. But when you look at that computer, so it has VGA output, gigabit or 100 megabit Ethernet back then, USB, HDMI, FireWire, another set of USB ports, optical device built in, slot in, express card slot, headphones, microphone port, and a card reader, and it has, just like you mentioned earlier, so in the place of the express card slot, it doesn't have a plastic cover. It has a small remote
Yes.
control, which is really usable as well if you want it to be. And actually, so this laptop now is 15 years old. It still works. Okay, again, designed in the era in which people were, thinking about the design and everything else. It still works. Okay, battery is not in its best state, but still. And it still had that thing that both you and I sometimes mentioned that we miss, which was, iLink FireWire thingy. And actually, while we're on the topic of that, I took the liberty to take this laptop down. I mean, it's still in pretty freaking good shape for a 15-year-old laptop, and I cannot even begin to tell you all of the stories of how much abuse it took. And it's a 13-inch laptop. I mean, it's not like something big, and it's not 5 kilos or something like that. Coincidentally, this was also the first laptop that I used for, let's say, everything that I used to do in the, let's say, editing business or in the journalistic business, but also it was the first laptop that I upgraded, both in terms of memory and the first laptop that I used with an SSD. And back then, when this laptop was or came out, or however you want to call it, SSDs were basically starting, and they were difficult to get, and they were super expensive if you remember those days. So it is what it is. But it still had, HDMI port and everything that I needed, and I was very happy with it, as I am today. I still have some kind of Windows thing on it. It works really well for certain things that I do. And after that, because I started doing a lot of my music production, this was the time when I bought my first MacBook Pro. It was the aluminum version of the early 2008 model with T9300 CPU or something like that. NVIDIA graphics card, 4 gigabytes of memory. It had everything that I needed. And also in terms of and this is an Apple lesson now, it had express card, gigabit Ethernet, wireless, Bluetooth, free USB ports, FireWire 400, FireWire 800, audio line in, optical digital audio in shared port, headphone out, and DV out. Basically, it had an incredible amount of ports. And the only thing that it didn't have was USB free, because this was USB 2, let's say, era. But exactly at that time, USB 3 was standardized and started becoming really popular. So a year later, I got a express card USB 3 zero controller with 2 ports, and I used that ever since. So that laptop is still alive. I actually sold it to a friend, and we talked recently, and he said that he still has it and it is working. This was the replaceable battery, last replaceable battery version of the MacBook, which also took all over the world. I had 3 batteries for it, and I remember traveling from Zagreb to Munich, and then from Munich to San Francisco to one of the NVIDIA conferences. And with those 3 batteries, I didn't even spend all of them. I did music production from Munich until I landed in San Francisco. I still had almost 1 full battery left. This is the back way then when you still had the chance to replace the batteries. Yeah, smart asses at Apple. And actually, right around that time, next time when I went to US after that specific conference, I went with this Dell, and I went there with the intent of buying another Toshiba. This is where I bought my first and last Cosmia, which was again big desktop replacement, whatnot. But there are multiple reasons why I bought it. But the important part of that story is actually something that made me acutely aware of the difference of how people in the US and how us less than lucky people here in the now European Union, back then we were just an isolated country outside of the European Union, how different the approach of the market towards us is. And I got that laptop. I'm going to describe to you what it is for $1,500 in Zagreb.
Okay.
The same laptop with less memory, slower CPU, and lousier optical device was 120% more expensive. I bought the version of that laptop that had, it has all of the ports: USB, microphone, line out, gigabit Ethernet, eSATA port even. I mean, that's crazy.
Okay.
USB, HDMI, iLink. It had a mixed Blu-ray HD DVD device. Okay. And the one that they were selling here in Zagreb only had DVD. So that's a big difference in terms of the price and everything else. I bought that in January 2010 or something like that. It was 18.4-inch Cosmio X505. And I sold that later on to a friend. Again, we talked recently, and he said he's still using it, which I find difficult to believe, but it is what it is. And this was my last PC laptop that I bought until I bought the XPS that you know, the one that I used for many of the episodes that we recorded. Because in the meantime, I only bought MacBook Pros because they were the only devices that I could rely on for the stuff that I had to do, which was a lot of multimedia work, a lot of external sound cards, whatnot, graphical stuff and whatnot. And I also mentioned in the previous episode that I had a brief encounter of a MacBook Pro with external GPU that you kindly lent to me and whatnot, and I gave up that very soon afterwards and got the Nook. And that's a topic for a different episode. And actually, yesterday when I was thinking about this timeline, I also realized that my XPS is going to be 5 years old in a couple of weeks. I bought it roughly around Christmas, so 5 years ago in 2018. That laptop, and I had multiple people around me buying it in various guises. That laptop wasn't really a good companion for me, unlike the first XPS that I got, and I kind of bought it on the wings of that as well. I had to change the battery twice. The most recent occurrence of that was last year. Batteries were very bad for that laptop for some reason, and batteries are known not to work for any kind of prolonged amount of time. And the later versions of those smaller XPSs, I have at least 2 clients that have them still today. They replaced the motherboard at least a couple of times already. A couple of them replaced the screen with the camera as well. And mine has also some problems with Thunderbolt, which is a reoccurring theme in many computers actually, because the Thunderbolt and USB-C connector as such is not necessarily something that leads to long-term quality and something that's going to work very well. So when I went with that NUC that I bought when COVID started, most of the problems that I had in terms of the work that I needed to do actually went away. So the end part of that journey actually ended up with me having something that resembled a desktop machine. But I think that you can actually find the theme that keeps on repeating itself in everything that I just told you. Basically, my use case has always been, generally speaking, exactly the same. I always needed a laptop that's a desktop replacement. That's what I think it boils down to when you really look into this. And that's the reason for most of the problems that I have with laptops, although I keep sticking with them and keep trying to make them work for me at the era in which the laptop design sucks ass, as we described in one of the previous very popular episodes.
But the thing that this is the thing that we need to talk about. Back way then, you had a PC as an idea. A PC had extremely limited options when it came to different configurations. You had a couple of processors. By couple, I mean 3 or 4 kinds when the laptop started, and it took a while because before you even had mobile versions of the processors. So the first generation of the processors in the laptops were the same processors that you would get on a desktop. So the idea of a desktop replacement was normal. And people said, okay, the desktop replacement is going to be just like this. It is going to be a desktop packaged in a laptop case. If you remember back way then in 2000s and 2002, 3, 4, we even went as far as having two optical drives in the same laptops.
Yes.
So this is something that because they had space,
Yes.
they couldn't cool the laptop down because the processors were abysmally bad for the laptop usage case. So they had space because they had a lot of cooling. So they had a large volume of space free inside the laptop because the motherboard didn't take as much space. So they came up with different things like putting 2 or 3 disks that were spinning disks inside. They were putting optical disks. They were trying different kinds of tuners, remote controls, speakers, any imaginable idea. The only thing that I haven't seen in a laptop is a scanner
Yeah.
inside the laptop.
Yeah. Okay.
I have seen models that had small printers. The post printer, some of the laptops were
Yeah.
designed as a post printer, with the post printer in mind. So that was completely different play or idea of what we needed than it is today.
Yeah.
Today you are buying a laptop for a specific case. You are buying a laptop to, I don't know, work on the road, program on the road, write on the road, specifically just play YouTube videos and so on and so on. I saw completely bonkers article today that said that we are going to see the end of the iPad.
Okay.
Because the iPads are no longer interesting because people can see the YouTube and consume the content on their TVs and on their mobile phones.
Okay.
So the idea is that the iPad, because it's too big, is going to be something that's going to be next to cease to exist. Yes, I know. And the problem is that yes, but the problem is that people. I have an even better thing. This is the mini.
Well, I have the big one here.
In a tough case.
Yeah, I have the big one here as well.
Yes. So I don't see the point of an iPad being something unusably big, and I think that the point is that the point that they are trying to make, but they don't understand that they're trying to make it, is that the usage case scenarios changed because people want to have different devices for different things. Back way then, you had a desktop replacement for whatever you needed to do. The desktop replacement was basically universally
It's all
huge.
in one.
It was all in one. It was universally huge, completely unusable as a portable device. You could port it around. So we were basically doing the luggable thing. Do you remember the luggables?
Yes.
So the luggable was for all the older users. The luggable was the first name for the movable machine. So basically a machine that could be moved, that contained the entire PC, and almost universally the entire PC was actually in the normal case. So the case was huge, the size of not a briefcase, but but of a case.
I had that. We made that so that we can do testing on Cbit. We had something very similar back way then.
Okay, but I'm not talking about this. I'm just talking about the actual devices that had included CRT monitors inside them and so on and so on.
That used to be huge.
So that used to be huge. And then people, up until mid 2000s, were doing the universal laptop. So the laptop was quick. If you bought a desktop replacement machine, it would be more costly than a desktop. It wouldn't be as costly as the laptop is today, compared to the normal machines, and it was able to do everything because what they had to do, they just put everything into it. And then we slowly slided into having different machines intended for different things, but not a single machine being able to do everything. So people started using machines for the video editing, audio editing, writing, whatever. And then the machines started to profile themselves as being able to do a single thing.
Okay, so my problem.
And
Yeah.
this is when your problem started. Machines became
Specialized.
no, they started losing ports.
Yeah. So my gripe with the laptop design, and I think I explained this very well in the episode that we did a couple of months ago, isn't necessarily about the, let's say, market specialization exactly in the terms that you are talking about. I completely understand that and agree fully and have no problem with that. My problem is actually twofold. First and foremost, whichever way you look at it, whichever laptop you take, there is no exception. We went from good to worse. We went from good to bad. No upgradeability, not enough ports. You have a whole bunch of laptops on the market without HDMI. What's the point of that? I mean, I remember and still have somewhere in my basement or something. I have a motherboard that used to be able to host a mobile CPU, which I got as a present from one of the manufacturers. And the present was because they had it as spare for the laptops that used to support CPU upgradeability. And now
Yes.
I'm not going to go as far as to say that this needs to come back. I understand why that's not coming back. But to have a laptop that doesn't have the capability for you to upgrade memory or SSD, or that doesn't have any USB-A ports, or that doesn't have HDMI, that should be denied by law.
Okay, we did the should things be dictated by law in the laptop world.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say that I agree with you.
That's okay.
I think that you are partly right, but at the same time, I understand what the idea is behind the not having a device that is going to be upgradable. What I don't understand is that we are putting up, because we are in the wrong,
Yes.
because we are paying for the price. Why we are putting up with the devices that are so expensive and not
Correct.
agreeable?
That's exactly my second gripe.
Right now, when we are talking, sorry, let me finish my thought. And I'm looking for my iPad, but no, for my MacBook, but it's not here. So I wanted to say that right now the motherboard for the Mac Air is not that bigger than the motherboard that is inside every mobile phone. There is no reason for the mobile phone or the low-end laptop, because Air is a low-end laptop when it comes to comparing it to any other laptop,
Okay.
for it to cost more than $400 or $500.
Okay.
I know that we have artificially inflated the prices simply because the Apple wants to have the margin of profitability, but at the same time, why are we paying for the piece of aluminum and then having a small motherboard in it, and we are paying through the nose? I know the technology, blah blah, it takes a lot to develop, and so on and so on and so on. But the difference in price is not. It used to be down to technology.
Yeah.
Now the difference in price is just based on how many laptops do they think that they're going to sell to different people.
That's exactly the second part of my problem. So the second part of my problem is it is super stupid to have to pay such an enormous amount of money for something like a MacBook Pro. And what you get is actually on the new generation, as we discussed in one of the recent episodes, you get less ports than in the previous generation in terms of Thunderbolts, one less on most of the models. And the reason why, and they kept on technical marketing bullshitting us about, yeah, you don't need as many ports, blah, blah, blah. Yes, we do. A laptop without an HDMI port is not acceptable as an idea. The fact that we had to fight for that and all of their marketing crap, and that goes along with the marketing crap about, yeah, we don't ship the power adapters for iPhone or whatnot because green something. That's not green something. That's just you wanting to make more money. That's all. And the same story applies to laptops. It's exactly the same story. They just want you to buy Mac's accessories and Thunderbolt extension hubs and multiple pieces of those, etc. And this is where the story of my use case for laptops comes full circle. I mean, with all of the stuff that I just described, I'm still always looking for the perfect, basically desktop replacement that has all of the features that I need without actually buying a desktop. So I gave up on that and bought myself a desktop, and I'm happy there. But as a result of that, because of the fact that I have those MacBooks and this Dell and whatnot, I was kind of, exactly as you pointed out, forced to go down the route of buying extra accessories. We will be doing an extra episode about all range of stuff related to laptop accessories in the future. But for me, I mean, don't even get me started on counting how much money I've spent on said accessories. It's crazy. It's completely, it's not that it's non-standard, that it's an outlier. It's craziness. And I'm aware of that. So that's the reason why you were able actually to, via some of the talks that we had more than a year ago, kind of like point me in the direction, and you were like, just buy a desktop, man. Come on, stop. And you were correct. You're absolutely right.
Okay, but we are going to be talking about desktops the next time.
Yeah.
Right now we're talking about the laptops.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how many minutes in. Let's talk about how to choose a laptop for right now, because what I wanted to make as a point is that back way then choosing a laptop was much simpler.
Yeah.
Since you were buying a desktop replacement, your usage case dependent on what you were trying to do on the desktop. So, and the amount of money you were able to pay. So, and there was a distinct point in which the laptops stopped having features.
Yep.
But started having just bells and whistles without any additional benefit to the user.
Yep.
So almost all of the users didn't need the TV tuners. You didn't need a TV tuner on a laptop.
Nope.
You didn't need huge speakers on the laptop. You didn't need dual optical drives. You just wanted the laptop that's going to be as quick as your desktop, to be able to run whatever you wanted to run. Either it could be a game, or it could be the application, whatever the application was. You wanted a lot of storage,
Yes.
because the storage was local, and you wanted the laptop to have as much autonomy as possible. But the autonomy was usually somewhere in the 4 to 6 hour range. Tops. Normal autonomy for the laptops back then was 2 hours or 3 hours.
Yep.
And then, as I said, somewhere in the end of the 2000s, we started getting laptops that were suited for particular kind of work. So we got gamer desktops, we got coding desktops, we got Linux desktops, laptops. We got different devices that were intended to just be a particular device for a particular thing.
Yeah, I agree.
And this is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I want to talk about first, how do you because we all want the quickest possible machine for the least amount of money.
Yes.
But right now, for example, the memory. It used to be that you wanted to have as much memory as possible.
Okay.
Right now you have Apples that are using 8 gigabytes of RAM
Unified.
in a normal...
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Unified RAM, yes, but 8 gigabytes. The problem is that I would call it 95% of the people don't understand the reasoning behind that amount of RAM.
Yeah.
I have seen countless articles in a couple of weeks that said that why aren't MacBooks extendable anymore? Why can't you buy additional memory for a MacBook?
Yeah, this sort of architecture that is almost technically impossible.
It's technically possible, but it requires specific knowledge and the ability of being able to desolder and resolder different chips directly to the CPU. So the architecture itself is so
integrated.
dependent
It's
it's
integrated.
integrated.
Yeah.
It's dependent on having the memory directly on the CPU itself. So it's physically impossible to do it. I say it's technically possible. Yes, if you have a person who is able to more or less tinker with the motherboards, and it requires first probably decades of knowledge of technical expertise, and it requires tens of thousands of euros of equipment to be able to do this. So physically it's impossible.
Yeah.
For a normal person it's impossible.
Yeah. SSDs would be something that would be wise by Apple to actually allow to people for expand them, but they've given up on that years ago. So I understand why they are still standing on that hill and they want to die on it. That's their prerogative.
But I would. This is the thing that I have a problem with.
Okay.
Because SSDs, okay, they are not going to support them. But NVMe's, why not? You can have extremely small NVMe's. The small factor NVMe's can be basically the size of a SD card.
Yeah.
So you can fit those in any laptop case.
Especially nowadays when more than half of the laptop case is empty.
Yes, yes, especially now when the battery itself doesn't need to be that big. And since the battery is integrated, what you can also do, you can split the battery into different parts because they are doing it.
Yes.
So you can find a way to fit a small card somewhere in your laptop.
Okay. I actually I don't know if you are thinking the same thing and if you want to do that, but I'm still going to put this out there. I actually had a very big discussion session with myself about which models I would buy for 3 distinctive use cases. And I'm really looking forward to the discussion about what do you think about this? Because I have like a really good recommendation for a general use case laptop, a gaming laptop, and a creator laptop. Okay, so actually, the way in which I went about this when I was thinking about this topic is I wanted to offer a couple of advices in terms of buying the laptops, and I went with 3 and then actually expanded it to 4, let's say, different use cases or something like that. Let's call it that way. I would say that I have a pretty good idea for a budget laptop, then crazy idea for a general laptop, general use case. I think I have a pretty good idea for the gaming laptop and a very good idea for the creator laptop. So to your complete non-surprise, I think that in terms of the budget laptop, I think your M1 Air is the thing to buy.
Okay, depending on what you are defining as a budget laptop.
I think
because a lot of people define a budget laptop as something that is going to be $300 or $400. So they are looking for either that or they are looking for a extremely plasticky low-end laptop that is not going to satisfy anybody.
But generally speaking, your dreams and your requirements, and at the end of the day, the economic viability of those is always, those things are always going to clash. And if I was in a possession of those, I don't know, $500-600, whatever amount of money a used M1 Air costs now, I would definitely go with that. But if I didn't, and if I was looking for something cheaper, I would definitely go secondhand.
I would say that you're completely correct, because what happened is that since people were the benchmarks for the M3 came out, and what they're saying is that the M3 itself is not that performance-wise is not that quicker than the M2. M2 wasn't that quick compared to M1. So, to put it mildly, buying a laptop that is going to be faster is okay. But right now, from what I see, is that they are saying that M3 is 50% faster than M1 family, and this is up to 50%.
Yeah, the regular Apple stuff.
the regular Apple stuff. The thing is that if you are dealing with something that you're going to use day to day, you are not going to notice the 50% better speed. What you're going to notice is you're going to notice the latency, and the latency gain is not that better. So you are going to be much better off with the M1 for the amount of money you're paying.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you're buying with your brain, and if you're buying a laptop that's going to last you, yes, Apple.
Okay.
If you want a decent laptop in this price range, I would go for the used ThinkPad.
Yeah, I agree completely with you.
I would going to go for a used ThinkPad. It is going to cost us half as much, and it is going to this is going to buy you something like I don't know, X1 6th generation Intel CPU with 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is going to be more than enough for everything that you want to do.
Yeah, I agree. That's all good.
So
then
let's go with the next.
Let's say general use case laptop. I have two candidates there. And this one is going to be kind of a spin-off of a previous discussion. I would still say that some of the best general use case laptops, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, are still going to be your Lenovo ThinkPads of certain generations, secondhand. And especially if you buy something like a W or let's say a P version of that.
Yes.
For general use case, it's very difficult to beat them because they're cheap. They are widely available. Again, spare parts, batteries, connectivity, all of them are really good. And if you need more connectivity, even the docking stations are not all that expensive, and they can be used to extend the capabilities of a general use case laptop by a mile. We are not talking about gaming laptops, so that's that. We don't need a GPU or something. We just need, a couple of monitors, and they can handle up to 6. Certain models, depending on which one you buy and which dock you take and whatnot. If, however, you are in the completely opposite range of the scale, and there are people who are thinking in a completely different way, they want something very new and really good for a general use case, and you want to spend some money. The best laptop that I've used, and I've used this one a month ago or so for a couple of days, is for me the HP Elite Dragonfly G3. Which is expensive, but excellent battery. So I managed to do something like 12 hours on it. The tech specs are 14. Superb camera. Very light. Awesome touchpad. I was very happy with that. And I actually was lucky enough to... so a friend gave it to me for a couple of days. I was doing something on it. Installation, configuration, something. He actually bought the OLED version of it, which was superb screen. Everything was excellent. The only thing that I really didn't like was the fact that there are some, I've checked in documentation for that laptop, there are some models that only have 512 gigabyte SSD, which for a laptop of that price, which is roughly $2,000 or so, is unacceptable. It should be at least a terabyte for that amount of money. So that was my two, let's say, laptops for general use cases. If you don't want to spend money versus if you do. If you want to add something, feel free.
Okay, yes, because I think that you are all over the place when it comes to laptops. You are looking for a laptop that is at the same time light, fast, huge battery life, nice screen, and so on. What we are dealing here, I think, is people who usually, when people are asking me something like this, they usually want to see what the compromise is going to look like. So where should you not spend money? For me, I think that first, the thing that you are not going to notice is the difference between an ultralight or a normal light laptop.
Okay.
So if you're buying an ultralight, so you are trying to buy a laptop that's going to be somewhere close to a kilo, so 1.2, 1.3, you are going to be much worse off than if you're just going to say, okay, I don't care that much about the weight. You are going to care about the weight, but you are not going to care that much about the weight. And then you can buy something like, I would probably go with also with an HP, but I wouldn't be dealing with an HP from Elite series.
Okay.
Because the Dragon Elite series is something that is extremely expensive. I would probably go with something in the middle of the road. So I would probably go with an HP that is going to be. I just looking through their different models. I would probably go with something. They're calling them 15 somethings. So I would probably go with the 15 FD0006. It's an i5 1335U. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM, 412 gigabytes of SSD, and it's 15.6 inch screen for 700 euros here in Croatia. This is probably going to be a couple of €100 less elsewhere. So this would be a laptop that I would consider general purpose laptop.
Okay.
Because this one is going to be able to do the YouTube. You can do light text editing. You can do browsing, and this is going to be more than enough.
I have another suggestion, and feel free to shoot me down. Now I'm not discussing our local prices. Let's take a little bit of a detour and think about US prices for a second. Humor me. How would you feel about general use case laptop being MacBook Air, let's say 15?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The reason why I'm saying yes and no is that general use case sometimes means playing.
Okay.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying playing things like Alan Wake 2, whatever. I am talking about playing games that are able to be played on an integrated graphics laptop.
Okay.
And I think that unfortunately Apple is not the laptop to have.
Yeah. Okay. For gaming, yeah, no go. Okay.
So if you want to have a laptop that's going to be a really general purpose, I wouldn't go with the MacBook. On the other hand, if you are able to not play, so if your usage case means that general purpose only means using it for the browsing, word editing, and so on, yes, MacBook is usually the way to go.
Yeah. Okay. In terms of gaming, and I tried this one as well, but last year actually, Razer Blade 15 2022 model. It's a fantastic machine. When you are talking about gaming laptops, that usually means you're going to spend some money. Specifically, there are, I think, 3 different screen models. So the 4K UHD model was the one that I used, which was superb. QHD, because of the resolution, I don't like those weird resolutions, so that was terrible for me. And there is a full HD actually version as well, which is, I think, too low res, so no, not really. The build quality is second to none. The keyboard was one of the best that I tried in the past couple of years. There are models with something like, let's say, 3070 Ti, which is more than enough for most of the games. And in terms of the ports and whatnot that you might need, nothing you can add. And Razers have always been known as being, on the more expensive side. But, again, gaming laptop, you're going to be spending money on that.
Okay. I don't have any idea which gaming laptop to choose, since I don't have that much experience in gaming laptops.
Okay.
When I'm thinking about gaming laptops, I'm probably thinking about the old Omens from the HP.
Oh, okay.
And I know that they were great laptops when it came to gaming. I know that Dell has some laptops that were in the gaming world, but as I said, I'm not that much into gaming, so I don't really know what to recommend there.
I tried the Lenovo's. I tried one of the Gigabytes recently as well. I played a little bit with one of the Zephyrus ones from Asia's. I tried one of the big Acer's Predator or something like that. And they were basically just maybe a couple of maybe up to $200 difference in price, but Razer was just kicking the crap out of all of them. And yeah,
Yes, but
it is what it is.
but let's not confuse different types of laptops because when we are dealing with Lenovo's, I wouldn't call them gaming laptops.
No, they do
They
have
are workstations.
they really do have some of the gaming laptops, and they're touted as such. The specifically, let's say, Legion Pro 7 series, something like that. That's what I tried, which is basically what Lenovo's vision of the gaming laptop is.
Okay, but
Most of them are not.
Let's now talk about workstations, because you were talking a lot about desktop replacements. Let's talk about workstations.
Or
Let's
creator
talk about
laptops, something like that.
yes, but actually workstations. So laptops intended for creation not only of audio and video, because people when they're talking about creators, they're usually talking about video creators, and this can be done on general purpose laptops.
Okay.
A MacBook Air is more than capable of doing the video editing
Yeah.
for a regular thing like we do.
Yeah.
So let's talk about workstations that are capable of doing more than that. For example, I don't know, something like a ZBook.
Yeah, ZBook or ThinkPad P16 or ZBook Power G8
whatever.
or something like that.
P whatever. There is a wide range of P in P series that are specifically intended to be laptops meant to do heavy lifting in different applications and doing a lot of stuff. So P1 right now, the latest generation P1 is
Dell Precision 7 series is excellent CAD laptop.
Yes, ZBooks are excellent.
Yeah.
I know ZBooks were excellent because they usually have a large amount of memory, and they usually have amazingly they are amazingly suited to extending the memory and extending the disks. I don't know how it is with the Lenovo's these days. I know that older versions of P51, P50, P52, they used to have space for at least 2 disks, if not 3, because they were able to be extended with additional disks. So these are the things that make a workstation laptop feasible.
Yeah. Lenovo has the ThinkPad P16 series for that. For workstation market, it has something like crazy NVIDIA A5500 card in there, and 12 gen highest end CPU, and most of the models are terabyte plus SSD and whatnot. They are quite expensive, but they are really good for workstation performance.
What I was looking for the amount of memory that they're using. So
16 plus, all of them have at least.
Yes,
16.
but they are. If you want to pay an exorbitant amount of money, you can buy a ThinkPad X1 Extreme, and this is going to be 3080 Ti with 16 gigabytes of RAM, and the laptop itself has 64 gigabytes of the storage, so memory, and 1 terabyte of storage. So it's a small laptop that you can take everywhere. It's under 2 kilos, and it's capable of doing everything that you throw at it. But at the same time, it's somewhere around 7,500 euros.
Yeah, the ThinkPad that I mentioned, I saw a model that has the top-notch 12 gen CPU, that NVIDIA card that I mentioned, 64 gigs of memory and 2 terabyte SSD. And in US, it was something like $4,600, $4,500, $4,700, something like that. Brand new, of course. So yeah, there are much more expensive laptops than that, and there are cheaper ones. But if you are doing CAD, you need something like that.
But if you are doing any kind of complicated work, but this really is a niche market.
It is absolutely.
It is a niche market because when it comes to laptops like this, I always remind people to remember how much do the licenses cost for the software that you're running.
Yeah.
So the license for the something that you're going to be running here is probably going to be double or triple the amount of money you're going to pay for the laptop. So this is not the price of the machine itself doesn't matter.
I think you're completely correct, and in that part of the market, I would much rather go with something that's a desktop, but that's a topic for another day.
Yes, and you're going to be missing the screen state.
Yeah.
You just need the screen. You just need an amazing screen because you're going to be staring at it for hours at end. You're going to be needing multiple screens, and you are going to be probably needing screens that have additional capabilities that we are not mentioning here, and we are going to mention in the next episodes. For example, HDR. For example, wide gamut coloring, and so on and so on.
Yeah, agreed.
So these are completely different usage cases.
Yeah. I mean, for the creator laptop, that's easy for me. That's definitely going to be, let's say, M2 Pro MacBook. Yeah. I don't think it has any real competition there. But most people use it not only because it's a fashion statement. I use it as well, and I didn't buy it because it looks cool. It's just something that's really well suited for that type of environment, let's say.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm surprised that I'm with you, but I am.
You know, the only thing that really pisses me off about most of the, let's say, MacBook options that you can buy is actually related to the camera. How dare they have full HD camera only? A lot of the models, I think they're still standardized on full HD.
But I think is that the integrated camera in the laptop is the last thing that I'm going to look at.
Yeah, but not for content creation, mate.
Okay, but are you really going to use the integrated camera for content creation?
If you're a content creator, you're going to have online meetings for sure. So yes, you are.
Okay, but you are going to buy external camera either way, and I don't think online meetings have any more need for the camera for the higher resolution camera than full HD. But
Yeah.
that's just me. Okay.
We are coming up to the end. I just wanted to show you something. When you Yasmin was having some small technical issues today, that's why we had to cut the video a little bit a couple of times. This is what I found in one of my lockers.
Ah, okay.
That's the white one that I used to use for Quark Express. It still works. But the battery is not all that good, just like you would expect 20 years old laptop. Yeah, but it still works. I actually turned it on, I don't know, a month ago or so, and was playing around with it a little bit. So yeah, Apple used to be able to do really good laptops, and don't get me started on the ports that it has.
Okay, you are the ports guy. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that we are still missing one category of people.
Which ones?
And those are the people who required an ultralight.
Oh, okay.
So usually those are the marketing guys because they like to held meetings from the cafes, take the business on the road, do the budgeting and Excel work on the road, and so on and so on.
Everything that you do.
So basically, stuff they could do as efficiently as they do it, they could do it on iPhone or
iPad.
Even an older Nokia. But then that's me. So, what do you think about ultralights?
So I used to, I just had really one. I had a Toshiba, what was it called? The series of those. It wasn't the Satellite, it was something else. Toshiba series that was ultralight.
Latitude? No.
No. What was the series that they used to have for that? I can't remember. I still have one of those somewhere. It was maybe small Satellite or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
I bought it probably more than 10 years ago now, and it's still alive. I gave it to my dad because he is the perfect person for that type of market because he needs a very light laptop. But nowadays, and for the next, I don't know how many years, difficult to say, I wouldn't really want to use any kind of Ultrabook, something very thin, very small. That's just not my use case. And you might be a little bit better suited to that for some of the things that you do. I just don't have the use case for them.
If I wanted to do that, I would probably go with the ThinkPad X1.
X1, okay.
Probably the Carbon. Probably the Carbon, because the Carbon or the Yoga.
Yeah.
Because they have the mix of capabilities that makes sense when you're talking about the business laptop. So they're suited for when you need to hold a meeting. You can present from them. You can do light editing, or you can actually do heavy editing on them. And the only problem is the price.
Yep.
But
second-hand, yet again.
Yet second-hand is going to be more than enough for you, and this is going to be a decent laptop for whatever you need to do on the run. My other choice would probably be also MacBook Air, but I'm putting ThinkPad in front.
Me
simply
too.
Because it runs Windows.
Me too, exactly.
Because Windows is something that we might agree or not agree. Personally, I don't like macOS as much.
Okay.
My primary driver is still Windows,
Okay.
although I'm using Linux. So first Windows, then Linux, then macOS for me when it comes to OS. But I think that the reason why I'm liking the ThinkPad is not because Windows is that good. It's simply because of the market share. You want to be able to run whatever you throw at the laptop, because sometimes you just need a specialized viewer for something, you need specialized application to show off something, and then you need a laptop that is able to do the thing.
Actually, to your point, for the very same set of reasons that you just mentioned, I bought one of the X1 Carbons 6 months ago for
Yes, I remember.
for my partner. She loves it.
Yes.
Absolutely loves it. She cannot live without it. And it's a touchscreen version as well, so it's even more lovable.
Yes, but this is the thing, that the screen itself is not something to write home about, but it works.
Yes.
It looks decent. It's not amazing. The Apples usually have the better screen.
Yes.
But this screen on the X1 is not amazing. It's good. The touchscreen functionality is there when you need it, but when you need it, it makes extreme amount of sense.
Yes.
And the ability to connect directly HDMI to the laptop is the thing that sells it.
Yes. And the funniest part of the story was the price, which was less than 500 euros.
Yes, and this is the other thing.
Yeah.
This is the other thing, because this is the price that you're going to be paying for a dock for an Apple.
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly the price point that usually causes a lot of concern for a lot of people, which is completely understandable. But more about that in one of the future episodes about laptop.
And
gadgets.
I'm going to just try to finish my thoughts on with one thing. Laptops used to be choosing a laptop used to be you trying to understand what you need to do with your laptop. Right now, I think that choosing a laptop means that you need to understand what you expect your laptop to do for you. So, if you are looking for a device that is going to be a presentation device, it's going to be a different thing than if you are looking for a device that's going to be a workhorse for running an AutoCAD or whatever. It is going to be different if you're expecting to do word editing. And you are not going to just look at the thing that you want to work on. You are just going to, you're also going to look at what do you expect that this is going to do. And by this, I mean, if you're doing the presentations a lot, sometimes you're going to be better off with using two laptops. One to prepare presentations and one to hold the presentation.
Exactly correct.
So what I would do is, in this particular case, I would just buy a cheaper, I wouldn't say cheap, but cheaper Carbon, and use it to hold presentations, and then buy a bigger laptop to be able to edit and do whatever I need to do it. And probably I'm going to, since I'm going to be buying refurbished laptops, I will probably be under $1,000 for something like this.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things where it pays to be green. It pays to just not waste money on things that you don't need.
Agreed.
On the other hand, if you are trying to game, if you want to have a workhorse for designing in engineering programs, if you want to have a workhorse for the compiling and so on, yes, a new laptop, yes, an enormous amount of money, but there is a reason for this.
Yeah, agreed.
The reason is that you need to not waste the time.
Yeah, hence the reason why we're so insistent in some of the previous episodes that buying a laptop nowadays, because of the amount of different models. I mean, look at Apple's product page. You're going to get option paralysis squared just looking at it. Has become so difficult. It's too many models, too many use cases, too many whatnot. Every single manufacturer, I think, could do a better job if they just put their minds into it. That's what I would conclude, if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay, are we done?
I think we are. This was a fun episode for me because I changed the graphic card in my desktop during the episode. I had 2 graphic crashes, and we are going to be talking about this in the next episode when we will be dealing with the desktops.
Yes.
Because this is the stuff that desktops do. They offer you the ability to exchange graphics and exchange all the different parts on the fly. Thankfully, I'm one of those people who have a spare graphic card that is not that new, but also is not that old. So I'm able to just change it in 5 minutes and so. And
You're worse than I am, just so you know.
Yes, I know. This is it's just it's what I am. That's it. I'm sorry.
No apologies for that.
And anyways, let's wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us. Please, if you have any finishing words, please do.
No, we are done. More than done.
We are done, more than done. Okay, see you in the next episode. We're going to be talking, hopefully, about the desktops. And we are going to be spilling much more vitriol about the state of the desktops today.
Correct. Until then,
I was Yasmin.
you're still Yasmin. I'm still Veteran, and we bid you adieu.
Adieu.